倒すために選ばれた戦士たちよ。倒せるものなら倒してみろ。
Hello and welcome to this week's Battle of the Ports and SNK's 1986 arcade hit,怒号層圏, or better known as Victory Road in the West. Now just in case you didn't know, this is actually a sequel to Ikari Warriors, and makes use of two rotary joysticks. The objective is to defeat the enemy aliens using grenades and other weapons. The story directly picks up at the ending of Ikari Warriors, congratulated by the General Kawasaki for rescuing him. Paul and Vince return home to their native country in a plane arranged by the General. A mysterious storm appears and they are hurled thousands of years into the future. They are met by an alien creature who says the villain Zhang Zip has taken over the land. Yeah, makes sense. The first port we will take a look at came out in 1987 from Quicksilver Software for the Apple II. Now I'm not sure if this was actually the first port, since Quicksilver released a few different versions in 1987, but we'll just go with this Apple II version first. Let's just hope that this is not representative of what we have to look forward to, because this Apple II version is incredibly slow, and well, just boring to say the least. At least we have some attempt at porting the game, but I can't say it's entertaining in the slightest. '87 also saw the IBM compatible PC release, and yes, we're heading in the right direction, as this is more appealing to look at than the Apple II and a little better to play as well. Some of the graphical details are quite nice in this port, considering the limited colour palette on offer. Still, we do have some way to go before we get a good port, but so far things are getting better.
Come get me if you get it!
Next up is the Commodore 64 release, and as to be expected, we can quite often count on the C64 to give us something nice to play. While this version isn't as appealing in looks compared to the PC version, it is far more playable. In fact, this version plays really well, apart from the odd dodgy collision detection here and there. We even get some speech at the beginning of the stage. Awesome stuff.
A year later, in 1988, on April 16th, Micronix developed a Famicom port. This version includes the added feature of collecting Zenny as currency, which is used to buy improved weaponry and armor. The NES version emulates the controls of the arcade version by locking the face of the character in one direction for as long as the fire button is depressed. Weapons no longer have limited ammunition. The player character begins with the flamethrower, but when the player loses a life, it is changed to a machine gun. Now surprisingly, for the Micronix game, this isn't too bad. We've got good playability, speech, a reasonable BGM, and chunky sprites. In 1988, Paradise Software developed a port for the ZX Spectrum and Amstrad CPC. First, let's take a look at the ZX Spectrum port. So let's start off with the positives. I do like how there's a toggle option to lock your shooting direction in one place, plus you can assign the toggle button to any button you wish. I also like how it's relatively easy to sneak around those annoying warp areas. What I don't like so much are the tiny bullets blending in with the background and the sluggish nature of the game. Still, for the time, I can imagine Speccy owners enjoying this one. It's quite clear that the Amstrad CPC version is based upon the ZX Spectrum version, but it is the one that got all the love. From the flashier opening menus and title music to the colourful and better defined graphics in game. The only problem is that it plays just like the ZX Spectrum version, so neither is a winner in terms of gameplay. A year later, in 1989, we get more ports from Paradise Software. This is the Atari ST version, and it's total shit. Sure, it looks visually fine, but man, the game is broken. For the start, the collision detection is beyond bad. You can clearly see that the enemy is nowhere near you, yet you die. You also get swamped by enemies, plus they can walk in space, meaning that they get to places they shouldn't be able to reach. This really makes the game unfair, not to mention your main character walks at half the speed of the enemies. Total shit. Amiga time, and yeah, this is the exact same shit that is on the Atari ST. Isn't it funny how the 8-bit systems are more fun to play and even had speech in some cases, yet this and the ST version are the worst of the lot. And let's take a look at all those versions of怒号層圏or Victory Road running side by side.